Hello and welcome to Industry Live. We're calling this, as this may or may not be working, Sensitive Assumptions. I'm that Kimberly, and this is
Sara Stiles.
Hi.
Hello.
And we have, well, you can't really see Cash, but I feel like Cash wants to be in here.
Hi,
Cash. Hi, Cash. So, so we are jumping on here today to have a new series, Industry Live. We tried to go, see what I'm talking about here? Like,
Weird.
Technology is not in my corner today, so I've learned from experiences that I take a deep breath and I get some cold water. And I bring Cash along with me.
Oh, Cash.
Right? Anyways, but we're here today to share a little food for thought, new topic, I don't know,
Yeah,
a lot of
food
little
for
everything,
thought.
yeah. So since we're not on multiple platforms, we will probably, or I'm not right now, meaning physically it's not working, I will edit this and we'll put it out there on the Googler.
The Googler.
As
Yes,
Carol
on
would
the
say.
World
Wide Web. As my dad would say. That would be my dad. The World Wide Web, right? So, let's kick this off. And because normally I would be like, hey, but no matter where you are watching, here, we're going to wave to people. Hi. See, and I'm not good with the Insta Live. It's a real thing, right? But we'll go ahead and normally I would ask you wherever you're watching from, because we are on that Kimberly's Facebook, my personal LinkedIn, which is Kimberly Dawn Scott, and YouTube, and then apparently StreamYard will eventually be streaming to TikTok in the future. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation itself. And Insta does not connect to those things, so we're going to start here and then go outward. So, what should we start with, Sarah? We're going to be very organic.
I know. Let's see.
We started with the conversation. I'm going to look at Cashel. I woke up a little late today, or maybe it was really early. I don't know. Might not have had a lot of sleep last night, and I was pressed for getting everything done, right? I'm in town. I'm helping a friend of mine house sit, and I promised her I would make sure that her puppy got to where he needed to go today, on top of meet you and do all things. And I did not want you to be, because this is a newer office, or not really newer, but have you been to this office?
I think once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you said Irving, I was like, I'm so confused.
I think they're moving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of ATC.
Oh, okay.
They're moving to Las Colinas. Hey, see, this is where you should pick up the phone instead of texting while you're driving. So my response back was like, call me when you can talk. I don't want to kill myself, right? But you're so multitasking.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be. That's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to be your mother, but
it's also not good for deep thinking. So my boss says. So no multitasking for me.
Good to know. Is that what they say?
Yeah, task switching. We try to do multiple things at once, but then we're not putting our full selves into the either of the two
in
things.
the moment. Okay.
So while we think we're being more efficient, we're actually like kind of watering down our skill to get more done. So it's really a quality versus quantity type of thing.
Well, let me tell you, since I'm going to go ahead and call myself out, people, and my niece will appreciate this. I was trying to give her some advice, if you will, whether she asked it for me or not, because that's just what our family does. We just give advice without, like parenting, like we talked about parenting conversation. Yes. Anyways, there's gonna be a lot of shiny pennies and full circles today, just so you guys know.
We'll try to keep up with it.
Yeah, and keep up with the time too, because I don't have my. Do you have?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll
okay, she's gonna. Oh, there we go.
Be clocking.
So she was watching something on YouTube, and I was trying to give her, and I said, I need you to look at me.
Yeah.
I need you to look at me when I'm talking to you, because when she's looking at her phone
For sure.
or looking at the screen, that she's just
got her attention somewhere else.
correct, right? Or she does miss things because she's always multitasking, right?
Yeah.
Or what's the other thing? There's I don't know. There's just but for you,
Yeah.
because whoever told you this, you know, right?
Yeah.
And now I can understand. Like, okay, I get that because my niece does it to me all the time.
And the best way I could understand it, at least then, is there have been plenty of times where I like really want to listen to this podcast, but I really have to do this thing at work. So I'll try to put them both on, and I'm like, I'll just listen while I work, and I can't focus on this and focus on what they're saying at the same time, because I think there's science somewhere
There
to it
is,
that
absolutely.
we can't actually do two things at once.
Well, it's not healthy, or it's not. I saw a neuroscience. Speaking of, oh my gosh, Amy Farrah Fowler. What Big Bang Theory people, right? I saw her speak on a panel called Star Talk. You good? Thank you. See, Sarah's gonna help me with my Insta because I don't know what I'm doing. Just kidding. But I'm having a lot of technical issues right now, folks, because my energy level is so high. I'm trying to multitask.
It's messing with everything around it.
Yes, thank you very much. So Amy Farrah Fowler and this other scientist, because Amy Farrah Fowler, who, by the way, for you Generation X, just me, like she was Blossom for all you folks back in the day, right? Now, and her name is, what's her?
Who is Blossom?
Oh, really? You didn't know who Blossom
Who's
was?
Blossom?
Oh, it was a TV show. Oh, see? So anyway, she's Sheldon's girlfriend on Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
She was on a Star Talk, not TED Talk, but a Star Talk, which it brings science and comedy together. And they talked about the brain and how we're wired and all these different things. So I'm just trying to reference to bring it all like in, and we just don't shut people off. Okay, yes, hello. But anyways, everyone, thank you for joining us wherever you're watching us from. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. So yes, you were on your way down here, and I wanted to make sure that I got down here in time. I was committed to taking my new little buddy, my running buddy, for my time here with me because I needed to drop him off. There was too many things going on, right? I overcommitted. Let's just say it. To myself, though, not to anybody else, because you didn't know this was happening, right?
Yep.
I would have stressed you out if I'd have called you and said, or you'd have picked. I texted you last night. You responded this morning. And then when I tried to call you to explain, you were on a call. Like, it just worked out, right?
Yeah.
But I totally, either you wouldn't have heard me or it might have stressed you out. It could have gone either way. What do you think? Knowing what you know now, I'm just going to not worry about this right here.
I don't know if it would have stressed me out. Honestly, I feel like if I were having a different type of morning, I was having a rather calm, very good morning.
Okay.
So I feel like if I could have received it well. I think I had the space to receive it well today.
There we go.
But I have definitely had some mornings where I would have been like, I can't have this conversation right now. Or just would have put you on speaker, set the phone down, let you talk to yourself, be like, okay, so I'll let her wear herself out.
So this is like your mom over the weekend when I called, right? Like, I was like, hey, and she was being kind, but she was like, she was busy. She didn't want to say she was busy. She thought I was just had a little too much to drink, like, and it happens, we're all human. I know, I'm sorry. Come here. Anyway, so point being is that I said, well, I really called to talk to your daughter. It's like, well, she's busy too. She didn't say it like that, right? But let's just be real.
Yeah.
And then when you got here, you told me, you're like, I was watching a movie. She was playing some sort of game. Yeah. And she was just trying to be considerate, right? Like, she heard something in my voice, and I was just drunk, people. She didn't hear anything in my voice. But she had heard, she's like, I was heightened. I was hyper, right? And when I've had too much alcohol, I'm either really, really excited or I'm overly honest and like dropping F-bombs and just, know. And so I think because I was overly excited, but I wasn't being real clear as to what I needed from her.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, we have to...
Which now, thinking back on it, you were pretty clear about what you needed, I think. I just think you wanted to talk a little longer.
You think?
Yeah. Because she got the general message of the call. From what I can remember.
But her response I didn't like, and then so I wanted to talk to you. That's what it was.
That is what it was. Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It wasn't sufficient.
And she wasn't giving me what like. This is like the scenario that Janet, shout out to Janet, used to talk about, the whole parenting thing. That because we ran a company for 15 years that not very many people know on this channel that I did, but those out there in the World Wide Web or the Google of the world. And Janet used to say that that our because we considered our family, we had when we sold, we were up to like 25 people, and she said, it's like they go to the parent, they know who to go to get the response that they want, right? And because your mom was not giving me the response that I wanted,
You
or
would be.
I was like, I really can't talk to your daughter. Can you get her on the phone? Well, she's busy too. Like, just do it when you get there. Okay, that's but then she goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I just had a little too much to drink. Come on." But she asked me, right? She
Yeah.
didn't assume. And then I was like, "I'll call you later. Okay, bye." Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Love. See ya.
That was fun.
Are you arrested or dying? And do you need me right now?
Yeah, is this a code red? Am I needed now? Do you need money now?
Don't
Okay.
throw out 911, people. It's not cool. But I think asking, right? She asked, and I told her, and then we moved on, right? Like,
Which is something that I'm still learning to do, which is so interesting. I've gotten much better at it over the years, but I'm not good at setting boundaries.
so you're calling it, okay.
So even with like,
What about not picking up
friends?
the phone? You don't pick up the phone. She picked up the phone. Oh, because I didn't call you. I called her. That's why. So if I had called you, you probably wouldn't have answered.
my phone wasn't near me.
Oh, okay.
So that's something else that I've started in general just to do. I utilize all the Apple Focus. There's all these different focus settings. So I have my phone.
Android has them too. Just FYI, I know how to use an iPhone because there's divide there. But yes, I get it. Okay, go ahead. It's not an Android Apple thing, but she references it because.
But even my mom with an Apple,
Yeah.
it's a newer setting, so I know she doesn't like. She's not even super.
I'm
familiar
talking
with
to
it.
the people who think that it's
that I'm coming at y'all.
or that like they're like. There's a divide there, right? Like,
There is.
and there shouldn't be. Like, and I think we don't want to go down the technology of this phone right here, that my nemesis. But I had the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was built for those 4, the first 4 were built to be more gaming and not really for work.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
It was very frustrating to me,
Yeah.
right? And then I read a couple of books on how Jobs might have known that Google was right behind him with the Android or Google phone, I can't remember which.
Yeah.
Jobs might have stolen a couple of things and he shouldn't have, and he got credit, all these things, right?
Yeah.
Wozniak was on. If you watch The Big Bang Theory, Wozniak shows up, and when Sheldon is going to run to go get his computer, the first one, whatever it was, I don't
Yeah.
know, the first Mac, they go get it signed, he falls down the stairs, but just go watch that Big Bang Theory with Wozniak. And the only reason I know who Wozniak is was because he spoke at the TAA conference.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, full circus. Yes, okay, what's up? So Shiny Penny, we're going back. Scratch me. See, so I have my emotional support dog here now. His name is Cashel. He's not mine. I might. Come here. But he did call
I
me.
might. She said, I might take him.
I'm not gonna do that. No,
Come here,
I know it's
Cashel.
important. My mom has an emotional support dog, and it's important. But it could be anything. It's not even about a dog. It could be an animal. It could be, I should have had more water. I should have had more sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Like but I also shouldn't have overcommitted to myself. So let's go back there, right?
Yeah.
It's about not to ourselves, right? Casho? Yes.
Casho.
So you're working on using the, here's my full circle shiny penny. We're going to circle back to your app, to the iPhone app stuff. You're working, like there's certain app
Oh yeah,
settings.
so there are these focus settings where I can like automate what hours I work typically, what hours I'm asleep, what hours I'm
Just shut
doing
the
other
phone
stuff.
off.
And I only have certain apps on my screen during those hours. I only let certain messages and calls come through during those hours. So during work hours, all my friends, like I don't see their messages until I physically go into their messages
Mm-hmm.
or I turn off that focus setting. But even then, I've
ahead.
noticed as a
I'm taking a note so while you finish.
come here, Cashel. Let's get your thing.
Sorry, folks. This is what happens
Playing with the dog.
And because he's
Come here, baby.
he's wants something, so we're trying to he's communicating to us, and I promised him that if he behaved and didn't bark at people or be mean to people, that or scare. He's not mean to people. He's the sweetest
No,
thing ever,
he
right?
really is so
But for
sweet.
people who are not,
Dog people.
or animal people too,
Yeah.
there's both, right? Let's just not put them in a category.
that's true.
There's the categories, right? We're gonna dissect all this and probably on all the other channels after, but this is our very first one, our very first Industry Live sensitive assumptions. Some people don't like the word unconscious bias. Some people don't like, I don't know. But Shiny Penny, I'll give a shout out to, when I remember right now, who came up with the sensitive assumptions. I actually think I asked him to be on this episode, but he was busy. So it might have been he and she, because there was 2 people in the room. I know who they are. I'll tell you guys about it later. But point being is, that bringing it all back to so that we're not categorizing each other, we're not putting each other in box, that we're using these 12 ingredients to have empathy and self-awareness and accountability. And okay, we're going to go to empathy, and that word you helped me with it when I was trying to deal with somebody. Apathy. See, this is what happens when you're not a good reader and you might be a little dyslexic, and there was no Google to Google it back in the day. I'm a Gen X, kids, you know. What? Oh, he sees his reflection.
Oh, that's so funny. Come here,
Cash.
Cash. That's just you.
It's okay. We're
just
okay.
you.
Hey, okay. What did we talk about outside before we came in here? No pooping indoors, no peeing, and no barking. Right? I think we had this conversation, man.
He's like, I get 2 of those. You get 2 out of the 3. I get 2.
Okay. We appreciate you. We're going to give him a treat because you just translated for me.
He's like, give me something.
Something. So we'll circle back to not doing those things, right?
Hey, there you go.
There you go. We'll pick that up later. Okay. So yeah. So we're gonna narrow this down. I just knew that you were the right human to help me figure this out, because I do feel that, and I'm only going to speak, I know it's in every industry, but the industry that I care a lot about, well, there's 2 of them, the family caregiving industry and the multifamily industry, which is AKA apartments, because I'm not a realtor, I'm not a locator, I don't know how to find those things. I market for those things, okay? Yeah. And so do you now, right? Okay. So there'll be another episode later, but we don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, but I feel like after I read this book, that we'll post in the comments or we'll put it out somewhere. I've talked about it before, that we have to use a little bit of everything. Like we have to use, some people, because I didn't know what apathy was, right? When I asked some friends, what would you do in this situation? So I have a nonprofit, and I was presented to a person that was being very mean girl like, right?
They were
ego.
They were a difficult person.
They were a difficult
person for sure.
Because all those other words also trigger. Anyways, long story short, I sent a text to several people saying, "What would you do in this situation?" Because I froze, and I froze only because after a lot of therapy of my step monster, which will be another episode later, that I didn't know what to do, because normally in those situations that I had been put in a box, that I would always come at them. Like I was like, let's box, right? Like, but this is, it's a nonprofit for family caregivers. Do as we do, shout out, right? Foundation. Thank you.
Of course.
That I didn't even text you. I texted your mom, and your mom says, I don't know, you got to talk to Sara about that.
Yeah.
She had some witty response about your education and how you're really involved. And you immediately educated me or gave me resources on where to go get educated, right? And the number of people that I asked if they knew what apathy was, they thought it meant sympathy or empathy. But because the people that I asked,
like that too.
well, that, or because they were given a different definition. Yeah. It also was in a different time, like depending on how old they were. Because I think I sent it to like 5 or 6 people. I don't remember. But some people were like, "Oh, you're never going to win. Shut down."
Yeah.
Right. Another person was like, "Oh, blah blah blah." And then when I actually physically got to have a conversation with them and tell them that what had happened, so I'm not putting anybody on blast. See, I don't even know how to. I see Kaizen Mind podcast. Hello, girl. She's actually somebody that I met at a conference that I saw Mr. Gary V. I'm just gonna say it because her and I both know. And she got to ask him a really great question. And I feel like she'd be one to be able to say how how this book relates, right? Or not. I don't know, but. How you doing? Thank you. Point being is that my industry people didn't understand those certain words, and so it took you and then me going to look up the definition on top of listening to a podcast or a audiobook. No, 2 things. It was a podcast and an audiobook from 2 different people. Mm-hmm. Somebody who was educated by the doctorate in science side, right? Mm-hmm. And then somebody who was, what would we call MM? Not Eminem, the music rapper, but
more spiritual side. Yeah.
Spiritual side. Okay. So more spiritual side. And
which is interesting. I don't think a lot of people would even regard apathy as like, let me learn about it, because it sounds, I mean, when you hear about it or look at the definition, you're like, that's bad. No one wants to be apathetic. But
for people who have been bullied or who have been, I'm just gonna say, had a step monster like my step monster, and you weren't, and you didn't get therapy till later in life about that one.
It's a good tool.
It's absolutely
such a
good tool
to be able to pull out when you need to.
Yeah.
Because then if you're like too apathetic, then you kind of shut yourself off to the world, and you limit human connection. But being able to kind of use it as a shield against, negativity, I think is the most important way to use it.
I think depending on the person, for sure, because there are doctors that I looked up before you sent me and she was she's amazing. So if you're having any kind of family issues and stuff, because it's a thing, right? Her name is Dr. Ramani. Okay. And she comes at it from a relationship, family, whole psychological thing, right? Like, I don't even probably have that right. She's a psychiatrist. She's a doctor, 30-something years. So, but because you sent me something in another, like I was able to, because on the doctor side, she's saying, set your boundaries, don't even engage with them, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And that's what I always did. I'd set my boundaries with my stepmonster, da-da-da-da. But now I'm over here running a nonprofit, I still do consulting, in business world. And I realized that for 15 years, I always had other people around me that I worked closely with that knew how to deal with that person.
Yeah.
Because I would shut down in the way that I either couldn't say anything because a lot of FUs would come out.
Yeah.
Right? Or
which, good for you for being that self-aware, because some people would just let the FUs fly, and then those are how the mean people get bred. They don't have those filters. They go ahead and say anything and everything, but at least you have the awareness. You're like, I'm not going to deal with you because I can't be nice to you.
But that took a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wasn't taught like that either. So let me just tell you. Love my mom. I love my dad. They loved each other. They loved us as kids, but they didn't love. They got a divorce after 7 years, right? Okay. They were great parents in my eyes, loving, caring. But my mom would always come out swinging, right? My dad was like, beat him with your mind, be smart about it, like So there are different advices, right? Out of respect for my mother, I would keep my comments about my stepmonster in the box, right? And didn't go. And only the therapy and anything else I had gone to was relationship driven.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a whole other conversation, but it was all relationship driven, right? And so it helped me, and it did help me in my work life, because then I could know that, like, because shout out to Janet Settle. She definitely managed me, and so did Beth Doty, like, keep me from losing my stuff every now and then in the business world. And it was just meant that I had to they gave me the space, and then they took on what I couldn't take, right? And that's just, it is the dynamic, right? Like, you could call it spiritual, you could call it energy, you could call it guides, whatever, right? I feel like because I was so protective and raised in a way to be protective of my family, but my work family is the same for me at the same time.
Yeah.
And because my family didn't understand how my work family understood.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to, my mom be like, just cut them. She didn't even say that. But, my dad be like, you got to be smarter. You got to think about, what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff wasn't going to work with this. She was a woman. She's a woman that just, you saw that email, right?
Yeah, no, there was no, there are some people, and, that goes back to our category conversation. I don't like categorize people or put them in a box, but we all know the people who they just, it's like they want to make it hard to work with them, and they want to make,
or maybe they just don't know better. See, this is where empathy, or what's the other word? Kindness. We could put that in there. We could put patience.
Oh yeah.
Patience, right? That I all had to learn later in life, right? Because I just didn't, that's not the way I was taught, right? Like, it was like, ask questions and come out swinging.
Yeah.
And because if they don't got the right answer, we gonna be swinging. Just so you know,
we're gonna have a problem.
We're gonna have a problem. And then others are like, shut down.
Yeah.
You know, don't engage. Don't look at the light. Don't look at the light. Don't engage. Yeah. Right? Because then they
exactly.
they suck you in. You're not gonna win at their game, right?
Exactly.
And the doctor said that you're like, she did say something that to another person. Oh my God, this is where Mel, and not the guy, but Mel Robbins, the woman, blonde. I discovered her from Jay Shetty. So I'm just taking notes for myself. Nobody's, you know. So where I saw her, Jay Shetty, interview Mel Robbins, the woman, not the man, because I know that he turns people. Yeah, I know there's a man. I could not listen to him for the longest time.
Oh, I don't think I've actually listened to his stuff, but I've heard his name.
Yeah. So anyways, that's another story. But so Dr. Romney had on Mel Robbins, and because Mel Robbins asked her to explain what this characteristic was or is. She said that you're never going to change them. It's never going to, you know, Chicago in the she made a Chicago in the wintertime reference that I was like immediately got. Because I've been to Chicago and it's not only Chicago windy as all get out, but it is cold. Like it's a different kind of cold, right?
I've never been.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of the cold.
Me either, right? So, but then it wasn't till when the reference you gave me, you know, to MM, not Eminem, but MM, Megan, I believe is her name, that I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So both of those things together help me. It's okay.
Oh, it's a car.
Oh, jeez, all this noise. No. This is where you don't bring...
Casual.
Aw, casual. Hey, it's all right. Okay, so where are we at with time?
I think we have...
Okay.
Probably like, what? 7 more minutes?
You tell me how you want to wrap this up. So, because I might have lost the shiny penny. I might have gone shiny penny on everybody, but it's okay. Point being is it takes a lot, several of these at different times in our life that we have to, because going back to my stepmonster, like I would shut down or not deal with it, right? Like I put it in the box. But now on my second chapter of life, right? I'm 50, I'll be 50, I think, right? How old are we? And I say we because you know.
It's like me.
Well, you know your mom and I have our birthday is 1 month. Just 1 month. Mm-hmm. Not a whole year. I thought it was 1 month in a year, but it's 1 month that we are separated by.
Well, she just turned 50.
No, she turned 49.
No, she just turned 50.
Then maybe it's 1. I got to go and do the math. Anyways, I was born in 1973. Point being is that the chapters of our lives, right? I'm 50. Okay, I'm gonna call myself. I'm the new 40. I like being 50. It's good. It's not a bad thing, right? Age, whatever it ages, not to put the age in the box. Yeah. Right. Everybody feels a different way. Whatever. Yeah. But point being is that in this point in my life, I have to process it. I have to figure out how to and choose whether I'm going to deal with it or not. Right. And I'm choosing to deal with it. Yeah. One, for my mom's sake, because everybody knows if you don't follow Do As We Do, you should go follow Do As We Do, the nonprofit. Or my personal channel, because I'm very open about how I'm helping my mom as a family caregiver. I'm trying to bring back that full circle to my next chapter of also being in the I hate the word consultant, and there's reasons behind that, but the marketing doer, the independent person, contractor, right? Even freelancer and contractor was a bad thing back in the day. The word entrepreneur wasn't really cool when I started. Oh.
That's the new one.
I know. I get it. But it's a true thing, right? Yeah. But because I all I can manage right now is my mom and myself. Yeah. I don't want to manage a team. Like, it's stressful. Yeah. And that's what I like about this book, and the reason why Gary Vee wrote this book was because he's gone on that journey, and he is a business man. Started at helped his parents build their wine liquor company online. He bought the first Google, or just go check him out. He's wicked smart businessman. Some people label him as a speaker. He is now, but he knew how to leverage. He says he leverages attention. Like, he speaks very well. Like, he's a cool dude. I've looked at him, shook in his hand. I was in awe when I met him. I think I was trying to tell you earlier, because I had never seen someone speak and then gone and at smaller conference, right? Not super big like what we go to at NAA or TA or anything like that. and been able to, I'd either have to pay a lot of money to, you know, like
stand in a long line.
Correct. Oh my God! But like this goes back to you got to see Pitbull, right?
Yeah.
But your mom made that happen, right?
Yes.
With her company, things like that, right? Her connections, right?
And I got to shake Pitbull's hand, take a picture with Pitbull, and walk away from Pitbull.
See, okay,
Yeah.
Okay, but like Queen Latifah, she is one of. We're gonna talk exactly. So. See, but I thought I wanted to go to the Pitbull, but your mom said, look, I had already called in a favor because you know she wants to. I was like, okay, no problem. I'm like, no pressure, like.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant for me to be that close to him, right? Queen Latifah, I was solopreneuring, contracting, whatever you want to call it, for Reliant Energy. Shout out to Joe Kay and Jeff, and I got to go shake because she was super cool to me.
I can imagine.
But she was also, but to others she was standoffish because she had a bodyguard like with her, right?
Yeah.
And someone made a reference like that's a lot of energy that those you know, performers, speakers, whatever it is. Gary Vee doesn't. He is so in the moment and just like centered, if you will.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he doesn't talk, but I could just see him. I could, you know,
very present.
Very present. There we go. That's a good word. So Queen Latifah, I shook her hand. I was like, I didn't even know what to say to her. I was shaking because I like.
What did you say in that moment?
Oh,
I love you.
I freaked her. I was trying not to say that to her because I didn't say that to Gary Vee, but I had that look in my eye with him, and I was crying with Gary Vee. So I remember, and I didn't want to freak her out. And I was like, I named one of her albums. You know, like I try to connect with her in that way. But I didn't get a chance to do it because they said no pictures, right? Yeah. And then when I saw other people breaking the rules and doing, because I was trying to be respectful. Everybody knows that like I kind of break the rules sometimes, and sometimes I follow them. But when I went and I was like, oh, I need stuff, I said, please. So I jumped back in line, and I went like this. And you can go look at my Instagram; it's on there like this. And then she goes, I go, please, I didn't know. She was okay. And so she did it. And then I talked to her bodyguard, and he explained to me why, right? Yeah. Why they have these rules. And then I talked to the TAA, shout out Glenda, or I don't remember who told me about how they all have handlers, how they all have just certain things, right? And it's not good or bad or indifferent. But okay. Not good or bad or indifferent, but just where her bodyguard was so kind to me, and she was kind to me, right? And like, but it could have gone so different in a different way, right? Yeah. So to Pitbull's, I've seen him speak. He was late. Like
he was late. He was
30 minutes.
In there, yeah.
Yes, it was very stressing. Like I was stressed just hearing about it, and I wasn't even involved.
Yeah.
Because he was
even just being in the room was stressful because you could tell like. There were a lot of people in the room.
And they had to send out an extra person.
And they kept sending somebody out to remind us that he was lost in the building.
Well, he was lost in traffic. He was lost in traffic.
And then he made it in the building, and then it took him forever to get through the back door of the whatever.
But George R. Brown, to the defense of a conference, it's very confusing the first time you ever get into that George R. Brown Convention Center, right? So it's like me going to Vegas, or me going on a cruise ship, right? Super confusing, right? And so I was happy that
Pitbull in Houston. Sorry, I'm imagining the Miami man.
It was hot, right?
Yeah.
It was, but he was probably frustrated, right? His driver was frustrated. TAA was like the whole not the organization. I shouldn't say that, but the people who put on that event it's very like programmed. Like you're on point, right?
Yeah, schedule.
You're on. There we go. You're on schedule. And you know how I know that? Because Capture the Market used to video that stuff.
It's like because we had a session that almost went over.
Oh my God! I forgot that you only got 1 minute.
It's okay, and I was snappy. Hello.
Oh, you did a great job.
It was
that is full circle.
Yeah.
I had never spoken at TAA like that.
Really?
Well, not at TAA like that, right? Like with 6 people, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I did not know you only got 45 minutes. And I did not know that 5 or 10 minutes of each before and after was correct. So now we're down to everybody. But because I did get did I tell you I got the feedback?
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
3.7, and everybody said we should have had a bigger room, but like we're packed, and I felt so bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I know, well, now I know, but in the moment, like I didn't think about it. But then when I saw you guys later, and you guys were out there, and your mom was like, we were kind of like joking all about it, right? I was like, But now I know. Nobody felt any, like, everybody was cool. Like, our panel was cool. Everybody was cool about it, right? But it was stressful, right? So you can imagine about running that running that whole event and him being that late.
Yeah.
We were only 15. We were only 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
And 30 minutes, like 10, maybe not 10, I think
lot.
5,000 people attend that. NAA is 10,000. I don't know. But it's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So putting it in perspective to the person in the moment or the people in the moment or the group in the moment, awareness. Let's go. We're going to bring it all full circle because we have some, like where are we at with time? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So going back to accountability, I think I'm just going to throw it out there for me. Some patience, some accountability, and self-awareness. What about for you in that moment? Going back to like whether it be like for our panel or Pitbull or
like, making sure I'm not missing
or Queen Latifah.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, definitely self-awareness, gratitude for sure, and patience. I think, self-awareness. I think a lot of people forget that like they're not the only person involved. And so in a situation like that, the last person in line to meet Pitbull could be so annoyed by the time they meet Pitbull. But Pitbull just had to hop on a plane from Miami to Houston, go straight from the Houston airport to the
Read that line right there.
Lost. Right? It's not about you.
That's what Janet used to always tell me. Kimberly, maybe it's not about you.
That's so funny. It's something that like it takes learning.
It takes it takes learning. Like, so it's therapy, if it's talking to your buddy here on the Insta, if it's leadership, if it's professional counsel, whatever that is to you to get there. If it's listening to Jay Shetty, for God's sakes, right? Like,
find your person, find your podcast,
find your multiple. I need multiple. Look at I just grew up. I need multiple things, right?
Same. Yeah. Find multiple people
because
what resonates.
Correct.
What doesn't.
Correct. And in the moment, just also know, because Jay Shetty made a reference to Gary Vee. He said, if I wanna get motivated, inspired, and I want to, when it comes to like hustling and entrepreneurs, he turns on Gary Vee.
Yeah, you have different people to match your vibes.
Different channels for different content, right? That's why don't blanket your content like Gary Vee says, because the people on those things, so we'll bring it a full circle back to Megan. When you sent me the Spotify, loved it, right? Like, because I had Spotify back in the day when I first started podcasting. Like, I only have Apple. If you're on Apple, I'm not going to listen to it. What's Amazon? What was it? Who was it? Alexa. Almost. I mean, Alexa was there, but nobody was really Alexaing it, right? SoundCloud, like Pandora, like you name all of it, right? Yeah. Audio. That's all audio. No video. Some of it's coming into video now, right? YouTube you can have a podcast because that's a video file that you then turn into this is for me for later because I am presenting at HAA, so I'm just trying to break this down very nicely because I don't want people to feel like I'm being condescending or that I'm making them feel in the moment stupid, because I can do that. I come across very, don't you know? Sometimes, not all the time.
I can do that too.
Oh, we'll see.
I feel like I do it more to the people that I unfortunately like my boyfriend, because I expect a lot from him. I'm like, me, you should know what I'm trying to say.
No, nobody can read your mind. Nobody can read your mind.
I need that on a shirt.
We're gonna write that note down because we're gonna bring that back full circle. But so help me with my ADD moment as I multitask. See, we shouldn't multitask, but as my multitasking, that we can't read each other's minds. It's not about you. The channel thing. So this is where I am a lot kinder to people I don't know when it comes to this subject, right? Only this subject, because I've seen people made fun of. I was made fun of, for my handwriting, my note taking, my spazziness of everything, right? Like all of it. And so I don't want other people to feel that way when it came to technology and social media, because that's where we started, right? Like, for God's sakes, your mom explained hashtags to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we can let her tell you what I explained to her back in the day when there was only Blackberries. I'm
gonna ask her that.
You should. Okay, so but it took therapy or counseling or whatever it was, listening to these whatever audiobooks, whatever helps you in the moment, in that chapter, in that moment in life. It helped me get to my self-awareness. A lot of people that spoke Kimberly, and that'd be like Janet and your mom, and Jesse and all these others. My sometimes my family speaks Kimberly and sometimes they don't. My brother definitely speaks Kimberly because I speak Gene. It's a thing, right? Like it's experiences, it's in the moment, it's awareness, it's patience, it's all of it. It just really it's called the aha moment. It's like that light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing, people.
Yeah.
So let's just be more patient. We definitely, there's so much, I don't know if you feel like how we should approach this, but if you, want to come back, we are going to go live on all the other channels that I normally go live on that was not working today. See, because look, my laptop just is shut here. Because sometimes I just have to say, like, technology is not going to work for me. Yeah. What's the Mercury retro?
Mercury in retrograde.
In retrograde, right? Yeah. Some people know what that is, and others didn't. I did not until I had a friend, Esther Hicks. She's not a friend. I mean, she's not a friend. But I had a friend recommend Esther Hicks, which you called her what?
Abraham Hicks, which I don't.
It's because of her branding.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even know why I know that name. I just know I know it.
Okay, that's something else, right? But my point is the movie The Secret. Like when The Secret first came out, back I don't even know how long ago. There's a whole religious thought. There are theologians. There's multiple versions of The Secret, and Esther Hicks was on one of the first ones I ever saw. I don't know if it was the first one. We'd have to go research, but the one she's not on the one you've seen, or you said you hadn't seen it, right?
I just know there's one on Netflix, but I don't think it's recent. I think it might be.
Go to the one on YouTube, and then go. There's one on Netflix. There's one on YouTube, and then there's a DVD. There might even be a VHS. I don't know. Are you laughing at me?
No. That's funny.
I know. They are really real.
Yeah.
Try 8-track or cassette players, people. I've been around. My grandparents had a 8-track, so I knew what those are. I grew up in the cassette times when me and Eminem, like... I listened to my Eminem, my Kid Rock, all of it. Yes. Woohoo! My Queen Latifah. Oh, Queen Latifah I listened to on vinyl. And not because I had it, but because I dated a guy who was a DJ, so. Vintage. But look at you. That's cool now, right? Yeah, vintage shoes are good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some vintage stuff, just not vinyl, right? But I've always loved me some Queen Latifah. Like her Living Single, right? Is her, did you know she had a sitcom?
Oh, really?
We are living, I can't sing, but Heidi's kind of world. Go watch it. It's on.
I will.
I think it might be on cable still. If you have the BET app, because that was a channel. I'm helping you now.
I bet it's a channel. Actually, they're starting to just phase out channels. Like Disney Channel stopped being a channel because now they're Disney Plus.
No,
so I wouldn't be shocked if
they still have Disney movies on. Like they have it on Apple TV, but it's not Disney Plus, right? So it's a different version.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me help you with this whole first circle, full circle, right? And that's when I started going, oh, that's why this person said or did this, right? That's why and it took a lot for me in the last 2 years therapy for me to be more patient. I feel like I've always been kind, but only kind to certain people, and that would be my
your people,
my peoples, like my family, and like you're my people, right? Yeah. And then it takes people like your mom or Janet or shout out to Deborah, who would normally be on live with us, telling me not to say it's not about me, or Deborah does give me the feedback, which I appreciate and I love. We got to speak on that cruise. That she says I immediately think on the defense when they say something that I took that and I love that she was honest with me, and so I step back and I'm like, okay, or I just don't, or I ignore it because I don't have time to dive in, because in the moment I have something else I got to get done, right? And that's where I have to be more, take accountability and more self-aware for myself first. Because then I can care, like for my mom, I can do better for my mom, and then I can provide you, like for you, like if you needed something for me, I would be able to give you whatever you needed in the moment.
For sure.
Information, I wouldn't tell you left when it was right, like Kasha was helping me.
You have the space available. Whereas, because I've been I go through phases, like all of college. I was operating at like 110% capacity all the time. And so I remember there was a friend who, and I think this happened for a reason exactly when it happened, but she became the best word is too much for me too quickly. I just felt like too needed, too like leaned on, and typically usually I would just like kind of let it happen, and I would just either
absorb all of it,
and then I would end up just like ghosting her, because I've straight up just like high school me would just straight up block people, ignore the,
because it's too much energy for you.
It's too much energy to say, hey, I don't like you, and then to have that conversation with somebody. But for her, it wasn't even like I don't like her, because I love this girl. Mm-hmm. It was I don't have
the time or the energy or whatever
energy that I think that you're requiring of me right now. And it was the best conversation. Like, she had so much respect.
So did you talk to her? Like, when did you finally talk to her? Because this is words. This is where we go back to words, right? Your words. Like, if you don't slow down to communicate, because I had to learn later in life how to slow down to communicate. That the words that I use, the words that are coming out of my mouth sometimes
too quick
or too harsh.
Yeah.
Like let's talk about the FU word or the I'm gonna cut you word or the CUNT word for all the Sex and the City fans out there. Yeah. Those instead of going and ask. So I'm hearing you correctly. You need, or like what your mom did. What do you need? Like I asked, are you busy? Because I used to just immediately when I would call somebody go into like what I needed, and I'd say, are you busy? Some people get upset when I'd say that. So I'd say, you got 5 minutes? You have a second to talk, or are you busy? Are you, depending on who they are is how I would say it. And then I would go into it, and if they said no, I can't, I'd be like, okay, no problem. And I would call me back when it's not important. But if it was important, like I'm lost, please let me know.
I need to know where to go. Yeah.
Then that's it, right? Yeah. Because I got really but it took time for me. Yeah. Therapy, exercise, water, Adderall, like there was stuff, right? Yeah. It just, everybody's brain is different. Mm-hmm. Everybody body makeup, like internally, like our bodies can't process everything. Yeah. And this is where Megan is great at is trying to explain and not put people in boxes. Mm-hmm. Her husband's what is her husband?
Scott. He was a history teacher.
Okay, see, right? So their whole dynamic and how they talk to each other, she interprets things for him and puts them into words, right? And other things, right? And vice versa. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people did that for me. That not just in my family circle, but also my external family, right? That I have abroad, I connected with people, or I just felt like in the moment, I sometimes I got overly, just know that if you ever need me, all you got to do is say, I really need you. Mm-hmm. Call me though, don't text me. And if I pick up the phone, you got to tell me, and then I'm there, or leave a message, whatever. Meaning, but you wouldn't take it personally, right? You would know. For sure. So, but my point is that I go there, right? And but I have to slow down and be like, okay, if it's meant to be, it's to be, and is it about me or not, right? Yeah. Nobody is. What was this? Nobody can read my mind. I had to put that. Nobody can read anybody's mind. Can read my mind. And what else? That was it. So I just had to be better like that. I had to be very more self-aware. Take accountability. Was I too brash on the conference that Deb and I just spoke at? I had a panic attack getting on the boat. We'll have to have a different conversation about that. But point being is I insulted someone because I was trying to find the conference room, and they wouldn't tell me where the conference room was. And my response to her when she said that they didn't need any of us because they were setting up, I was like, no, they don't need you. I'm speaking. And I know it came out wrong. Yeah. And so, when I said it, I caught myself, and I was already in the moment. So I went on and went to the got to the room, blah, blah, blah. And then the next morning I went up and I gave her a hug, and it's I hope you know that is not what I meant. I was having a panic. I was just, I think I might have said I was having a panic attack, but she just caught me in the wrong moment, right? Mm-hmm. But she gave me enough grace. You can call it grace, you can call it patience, you can call it whatever you want, people, right? That she knew that I was not, or somebody said, hey, look, she's freaking out, she's drunk. Who knows what they told her, right? I don't know. But she gave that back to me in the moment. I gave her a hug. I wasn't fake about but because if I don't like you and I meant to say it to you, probably not going to come back and apologize.
Yeah, that's just me. Let that linger. But think about that.
That's just for me, okay? That's for me. So you also have to be aware and accountable, saying, did you mean this? Because it hurt my feelings.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So that's
this, both sides of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's where your generation, which I know you don't like that, but because you're from a boomers, you know, not a boomer, sorry, you're from an X generation. Oh, your mom's gonna be mad at me. No, she won't. But the Generation X, you know, your mom and I are the same. That's where our communication styles are different, and you get a blend of both.
Yeah.
So that's where your empathy and your apathy as well, both, you're able to interpret those things. So you're like that old soul that they always call, right? But you also there are people who just communicate better than others, and that's where I feel like Gary Vee, he just communicates. Jay Shetty, you know, he was a monk, or he went to monk school, right? And now he's got the #1 On Purpose podcast, #1, folks, #1, 2015. Nothing fake about it. No fake bots, no fake followers, just genuine. I mean, anyone who can talk to Gary Vee, Chelsea Handler, and Mel Robbins.
He talks to the best of people. Like, he really does have great people on.
Well, it's not about the people he has on. Yeah. It's about his connections, and he gives them. He said it when he talked to Gary. One of the episodes I listened to. If I'm saying that I'm telling others they need to be kind and give empathy and all these other things, I need to give that to others, right? And so give them a chance, right? Everyone unless you don't have the space for it, or maybe you're going through something. Like I have for all of my childhood to adult life, had no space, no energy for my stepmonster, right? Yeah. And it wasn't until I asked you how to deal with a situation in business and work, right, that I didn't want to go and you know, and that was a chapter of my life, right? Because I never had that. I never had that. I just didn't. So I don't even know how to. But so we're going to come back around and we're going to dissect all of this next Tuesday. I'm hoping that maybe Deb can have you. I don't know. We'll let you decide.
Yeah, let me look at my schedule.
Okay.
I don't know.
We definitely do StreamYard. Maybe we won't do Instagram again until later, until we get this thing cleaned up and worked out. But point being is that we appreciate everyone. We are wrapping up. This is our first industry live Sensitive Assumptions. Yes. And I think it was a great one.
Yes, I think so too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for being so patient and speaking Kimberly.
Of course. I will always speak Kimberly, and Cash says thank you.
Yeah, she did bark. He said bark. You're right. You heard him.
Yeah.
I did not hear that, people. See, this is where Megan comes in, and she speaks squirrel now. No, or she speaks... Squirrel. Okay, that's another conversation.
Talking to squirrels.
Love you, everyone.